Hola. Sorry if I read my notes so that I don't forget anything. This example procedure turn approach is recommended when there is a VOR or an NDB very near the airport, and better still if such beacon is located in the prolongation of the landing runway, no matter in which side of it. Much better still if either such beacon or the localizer of the landing runway have a DME, so you can easily read at all times your distance to the runway, because otherwise you would have to fly the outbound leg with a constant speed and make a careful timing to calculate when you are at the good distance of the runway to start the procedure turn. This example procedure turn approach is recommended when your route is such that you arrive to that VOR or NDB with a heading that differs no more than, say, 45 degrees from the course opposite to that of the localizer of the landing runway. In that case, you will only need to make a small turn or no turn at all to follow the localizer outbound until you reach the point where you must start the procedure turn. If your route is such that you arrive to the beacon with other headings, you should better perform another type of simplified approach, like one based on a racetrack that I will try to show you in another video. The procedure turn must be started when you are outbound in the localizer and about 7 nautical miles away from the runway, or more precisely from the localizer antenna that is usually located at the end of the landing runway. The glide path antenna is instead usually located near the touchdown zone at the beginning of the runway. Then, once you are in the localizer outbound at about 7 nautical miles from the runway, you make a 45-degree turn to the right in this example, and when established in the new heading of 285 degrees in this example, you make a timing of approximately 1 minute, and then you begin to turn towards the localizer, to the left in this case, and keep the turn until you invert course and therefore set a magnetic heading of 105 degrees that you keep until you observe in your displays that you are approaching the localizer. Then, to intercept, you continue turning to the heading of the localizer, and next make the necessary small heading corrections to keep the airplane in the center of the localizer. If you start the procedure turn at the correct distance from the runway, and if before the end of the procedure turn you are at an altitude of approximately 3,000 feet above ground level or above the airport elevation, then you will intercept the localizer having the glide path above, which is the right way to intercept. You then maintain those 3,000 feet above ground level until you intercept the glide path and start to descend in it. All the initial approach maneuvers until established on the ILS should be made at the moderate approach speeds recommended for your aircraft. For example, at 180 knots in a typical commercial jet. If there is high terrain in one side of the localizer, you should then make the procedure turn towards the other side, like shown in this other drawing, in which you start the procedure turn turning 45 degrees to the left, and then after 1 minute you invert course turning to the right, that is towards the localizer. It is very important to make the invert course turn towards the localizer, because if you make it by mistake towards the wrong side, you will intercept the localizer too near of the runway, and therefore above the glide path. To find the information that we'll need for the approach to our destination airport, we open the flight simulator and then select the airport, the destination airport, in this case Shannon, Echo India November November. And then we click here in the flight program, and then here we have the map. We zoom, we click on the airport, And here we have the information, the elevation of the airport 46 feet, runway 06 has an ILS, ID India Sierra Echo, frequency 109.50, heading 059er. We copy that in a piece of paper plus the frequency of the Shannon VOR. And with that information we can make a drawing like this one, in which we write down the ILS frequency, the heading of the localizer, the relevance headings that we will have to fly, the altitude that we must have at the end of the preceded turn, the elevation of the runway, the VOR frequency. And that's all, I think. So there we go.
200. $200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard, 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 retard.